Hi everyone and welcome to a Saturday morning. Let's see, it's October the 21st. October racing by and it's been a very busy week. It's been a slightly depressing week. Certainly the topics I've been covering on the TNT programs each day have been unpopular, to say the least, with a lot of the commenters. Have probably had the most negative commentary, not about me necessarily, but about some of the topics this week than we've ever had. Whilst some of the viewing numbers have been down, the commenting numbers have been way up. So it's been, quite challenging having to wade through that. I do my best to try and read all the comments, and it's been a bit difficult this week. So look, I hope you're all having a good day wherever you are. It's a bright, sunny Saturday morning where I am, and people from around the world have joined us, and probably Friday night or even very early on Saturday morning where you are at the moment. Now let's just say hello to a few people before I get on to some of the topics today. And welcome wherever you are today. We'll try and keep it a little bit light and bright, even though some of the topics I'm sure we'll be talking about will be either ones that people like to get outraged about, or they'll be topics that are not in your favour. And I think I mentioned that in the thumbnail. So a rock trip on this Friday night here. So yes, hello Rock Trip. John D joining us from Melbourne. We've got Sand Groper saying poor old Steve seemed as though he'd had a gutful on his last video. Sounds like he's regretting inviting strangers to rock up to his place. Oh, look, Steve, he's actually been very sick over the past week. Glad to say that he's on the mend, and I was just having a quick chat to him this morning, and he's better off than he has been, but I don't know. It could have been dengue, it could have been COVID, it could have been a flu, but it's certainly really thrown him for a six, but he's doing a lot better. So I think he's just with the sickness and people dropping in, it's all been a little bit overwhelming. I fully get it. Look, I think the thing when you're dropping in to see anybody unannounced, the best you can do is be respectful of Steve's time, and also just sort of try and keep the conversation light and bright. Steve otherwise is very hospitable and happy to see you. And good morning, Steve. If you're watching, we'll be recording a Grumpy Old Men sometime later today. We're both fairly grumpy this week, so that could be interesting. So that's it. Sandroper. Oz Scale Modelling. Question, are your Australian medical history available for hospitals in Thailand to access? Or is it better to bring x-rays, etc., when you move to Thailand? Well, the latter rather than the former. The Thai hospitals don't have access to your Australian medical files, so the best you can do is bring anything with you that alludes to any particular preconditions or things that the doctor should know about. Mike says the new Prime Minister seems to be spending more time travelling than at home. Is it normal for a Prime Minister to do this? Well, every Prime Minister, of course, is very different. Or should he stay home and take care of domestic problems first? In fairness, he's been doing a bit of both. Whilst he has been spending quite a lot of time out of the country, this week he was in and out. I think he's been back to Thailand twice this week, whilst having quite high-profile meetings in, there was Malaysia, then there was Singapore, then there was, what's that little place? Brunei, and then Hong Kong, and then he was in Beijing, then in Saudi Arabia. So he has been doing a lot of visits. But coming back to Thailand, he even attended the cabinet meeting, although it was held on Monday this week. So I think you'd say he's just very busy, but he's sort of out drumming up business. Now, I know some of you are not happy with him drumming up business with the president of Russia at the moment, but I think you sort of need to look at this from a diplomatic perspective rather than just looking at it from what's happening in the news. And whilst there is all sorts of bad news, and I really don't want to get into these topics because there's a lot of hate out there, and there's a lot of people that will attack me. I'm not going to give you any views on these particular issues, but just talking broadly about why he might be shaking hands with Vladimir Putin, I think you'll find it is purely about trade and about tourism. Of course, it was this week on Monday that it was announced that Russian visitors will not only get their 30-day visa waiver, which they've had in the past for, I don't know, about 20 years, that's now been extended to 90 days. And a lot of people asking the question, myself included, well, if it's good enough for Russian visitors, why not everybody else? Again, people saying, well, Russian people don't deserve it because they invaded Ukraine. Well, the Russian people didn't invade Ukraine. It was the Russian army under the instructions of their president. So we shouldn't just punish a whole population just because of what their leaders do. And somebody saying, oh, people from the CCP shouldn't be allowed into Thailand. Well, the Communist Party of China is the leaders. Not everybody in China is a member of the Communist Party. Although I think the Chinese like to think that they should be, or they are. 99% of Chinese probably don't give a fig about politics, and they just want to live a life, bring up kids, make sure they're happy, and, go on a trip from time to time. So let's not just impose our feelings about the decisions made by some of the leaders of these countries on the entire populations. Try and separate your outrage, please. There's some of the commentary this week. I've had to delete so many comments, and I don't want to, but people just making outrageous statements about different nationalities. Thank you, Mike. Smurf hits. And here we go. If he says visa-free 90 days is only for Russians, I'm never going to Thailand again. Well, I don't know why that you think that the president of Russia or anybody here in Thailand really cares what you think. You're here or coming to Thailand to enjoy yourself and have a good time. He's not going to be reading your comment here. So there's no use just letting your outrage just say comments like that. When if you want to come to Thailand, you're welcome to come to Thailand, and your personal protest is not going to matter one fig. So just come to Thailand and enjoy the place. Nothing much has changed. The beaches are still there. The sun still comes out. The pad thais are still cheap. And the Leo and Singer are still, flowing freely. Morning all, says Daryl McGee. LLVTV. Smurfit, sorry to see you leave. Okay, all right. Dennis Reel says, can you tell me what happened to Joe Ferrari? Is he still in jail? Yes. Or with Mr. Taxon at the Marriott Suite. Mr. Taxon had a medical procedure during the week, a surgical procedure. I think it would have been maybe a week ago, and he's still at the police hospital. And he's not at the Marriott Suite. Mark Lynn says, g'day all, assuming the Mark is from Australia. And let's see, good morning all. Good morning, Tim, from sunny Queensland. We've got Luke and Paul. I'm not even going to try that one. Oz Scale Modelling, thank you, Tim. Stefan says, good morning from Patong, from Retro Racer. Nice shirt. Yes, this is one of my 140 baht shirts I get on Lazada. Really good quality. I'm amazed how good quality they are. I've got my size sorted out now. I take a large, if you're thinking of buying me a Christmas present, and they arrive 2 days after I order them. What could be easier? And let's see, sunny, but looks like rain is waiting to hit Ban Chang, says Seni Ans. Reg Dunlop, did Putin meet the PM with a brown envelope in hand? Well, look, with these photo opportunities that come up from time to time, you've got to understand that they don't sit there shaking hands and making policy. A lot of that work is done by the people in the background in the weeks and the days before these meetings actually occur. The actual conversation between any world leaders are usually perfunctory. There's not really much especially between those two, because I'm pretty sure the new Prime Minister doesn't speak Russian, and I'm not sure whether Vladimir Putin speaks much other than Russian, but there would have been translators there, and it's just perfunctory conversation. Many European people are getting upset about 90-day visas they might decline coming to Thailand. Again, if my comment section during this week is any indication, nobody is ever going to come back to Thailand again. You're all showing your outrage by saying, we're never coming back. Well, that's on you. You're the losers in that situation. It's not going to change the situation. It's not going to change the geopolitical landscape. So if you don't want to come back to Thailand and you want to head off somewhere else, well, that's on you, and you can show your personal protest and hope that you feel really good about that and that it's worth all the trouble and the outrage. But it's not going to change Thailand or Russia. It's not going to help the Ukrainian people. But if it does make you feel good, well, that's fine as well. But keep on watching this program. Inviting Putin to Thailand is a bit much, says Marcus Aurelius. Again, I think that is just the polite thing to do. The chances of Vladimir Putin visiting Thailand or just about anywhere else at the moment, well, he was in China, are just very, very slim. I can't see him coming to Thailand next year, invited or not. But again, it's just part of that polite conversation. A lot of people just reading things and just reading things into some of the media coverage and assuming that it is shaping the entire foreign policy of a government. Lots of Russian men left so they would not go to war. Not quite sure what you're saying there. A rock trip on this. Roger Dre, Thai get visa free to Russia. It disappeared. I'm sorry about that. Try to separate your outrage is a fantastic comment and point of view. People aren't their government in general. Thanks for that. So, the beaches are full of loud smoking Russians. Enjoy your holidays. There are Russian people in Thailand. Nobody's denying that, but they are still just a percentage of the people coming to Thailand. There's plenty of people from all sorts of countries. And it's not as if people from, say, Europe and the UK and Australia and the US, New Zealand, have stopped coming to Thailand. They're coming to Thailand in about the same numbers that they were, say, 4 or 5 years ago. It's just that in recent times, there's been a lot more people coming from places like China, some of the short-haul destinations like Malaysia and India and South Korea. Many more people coming from those countries. And yes, people from Russia are coming to Thailand at the moment. And that's a little bit of a blip on the radar, because the reason a lot of them are coming is because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine at the moment. And if you were a parent in Russia and you had kids, you'd be wanting to perhaps find a more peaceful and pleasant place to bring them up. Thailand is allowing people from Russia to come here at the moment. So there are a lot of young Russian people and their families, mostly families, that are coming here at the moment. But it's not as if every beach in Thailand is full of just Russian people. There are plenty of beaches. I've got a beach out in front of me that won't have a tourist sitting on it all day. You're welcome to come and sit on here. There certainly aren't any smoking Russians or anybody else for that matter. And I could name 3 or 4 main beaches in Phuket where there won't be any tourists as well today. Good morning from Wet Hua Hin, says Lee Evans. I got a visit from Dina. Question, Tim, is that your dad in the picture behind you? Oh, yes, it is. It's my father. Ugh. There he is. Handsome man he was. Morris Newton. Oh, putting him back there. So, yes, here's my father behind me. Good morning, afternoon, Tim and everyone from New Zealand, says Dallas Story. And some very kind people have joined in our super chat this morning. I'll just say thank you to those. So thank you very much to Brett Border. Must be from Canada. Another small amount for the cats. The cats are very grateful. Cats settled in fine, by the way. Dina and Dusty. After now finding that Dusty is indeed a boy, it's changed everything. My whole mental dynamic with that cat is completely different than it was in the past. Poor old cat. Good girl for all these years. Also, Aussie Chris, thank you very much for your generosity. Says, morning, Tim. It's Christmas in October here, early on Caulfield Cup Day. Go the Aussie Thai connection. Keep us entertained, mate. Caulfield Cup. Well, it's a great event. There's the Caulfield Cup. I can't remember all the races leading up to the big one, the Melbourne Cup, which is always on the first Tuesday of November. And horse racing, we're talking, by the way. When I lived in a place called Yarraville, I was only about 300 or 400 metres away from the Flemington Racecourse. Excuse me. Where they used to have the Melbourne Cup, and it used to be a great day. I went 4 or 5 times over the years, never saw a horse race, but it's all about the socials and what are they wearing? Tim, your dad was a good-looking bloke. What happened to you? Good point, Mark. Yes, I sort of tend to look more like my mother. Not that she was unattractive, but I tend to take more after my mother. My demeanour is, I think, probably more like my dad. So there you go. Tom Orr, do you think Thai politicians are naive about world affairs and completely miss the current trends, or just ignore the history of serious conflicts? Tom, look, that's a really good question. I would suggest that this current government and this current Prime Minister, let's talk about the Prime Minister. He's well educated. He's highly educated. He's a businessman. He's been doing a lot of travel over the years. He wouldn't be just shaking hands with anybody without thinking about the consequences and thinking about the advantages that handshake may or may not bring to Thailand. Now, he's also got some pretty good advisors around him. Some of them are seasoned politicians in Thailand. Yes, there might be a slight naivety or a different approach to world affairs than, say, the West might take. But I don't think there's much naivete when it comes to the new Prime Minister. Did you leave Kato behind? Kato stayed behind of her own volition. She disappeared about a month before we moved up to Tai Muang. So no more Kato, but knowing that particular residential area, there are plenty of people that will feed her, or she will feed herself. There's plenty of critters running around there, and she was a pretty feisty little cat. Do a lot of Russians go to Bangkok? Well, there are flights direct into Bangkok, flights direct into Phuket. So they're the two main destinations where people from Russia are flying. And so the reason Phuket has so many Russian people is because there's just direct flights into Phuket every day from 5 or 6 destinations in Russia. Tim, if one buy a small coffee cart and hired a Thai to sell coffee a few hours a day, can I get a business visa then? As an employer, I'm not planning to work myself. Oh, look, that's a good question. You buy a small coffee cart and you hire a Thai to sell the coffee. Well, look, strictly, legally, no. Would you get away with it? Maybe. You'd want to make sure you've got the right employee on your side. But strictly, you wouldn't be able to own that business. The Thai person would own the business. So you just would need to check any of those sort of plans with a lawyer, probably a Thai lawyer, and somebody that you could trust before you go out and make any investment in that area. So, yeah, you'd probably get away with it technically. Morally, should you? Legally, should you? Probably no. Okay, Bangkok Z. Thailand usually doesn't take sides in world affairs, correct? And this goes back centuries. Think colonisation. Thais played both the UK and France. And look, the Thai Prime Minister is really trying to get the Thai economy bubbling along, and he's going out, obviously, and meeting a lot of people from different parts of the world on different sides of the East and West. And he's not going out there to talk geopolitics. He's going out there talking trade and perhaps tourism and how to get more money into Thailand. That's what he's doing. He's not going out to piss you off. So he doesn't even have you in mind when he's doing these trips. He's got the Thai economy in mind because he's a businessman. And I think on that level, at least, he's showing a lot of verve and getting out and about and mixing it with some of the world leaders. Reg Dunlop says the PM can't be too bright if he wants to do a Belt and Road deal with the Chinese. No talk about him doing a Belt and Road deal with the Chinese. There was talk, I think, about some involvement in the proposed, what's it called? The land bridge between Ranong and Chumpon, linking the Andaman Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. But those conversations were just about Chinese contractors coming to work in Thailand and be paid in Thai baht, not about Chinese investment. There is some Chinese investment in the economic Eastern Economic Zone between sort of Bangkok and Pattaya roughly. And there is some Chinese investment, but not all, in the high-speed rail. It is using Chinese technology, but the Thais usually like to maintain control over these big projects. So at least in all those cases, the Thai investment for the infrastructure is a majority. Container shipping is slowing down globally, not just Thai exports. Many ships now are redundant. Okay, so yeah, I can't really comment about that. Look, I think there is just a bit of a slump in the world economy. Certainly some of the geopolitical conflicts at the moment are just suppressing things like travel, things like major investment decisions by a lot of countries. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the shipping is being suppressed a bit. How did Steve Ross get into Thailand? Okay, look, I'm not going to talk about any of Steve's peccadillos. That's up to Steve to answer if you would like to address him on those. Big wide die. Triangle Pattaya says you need 4 staff, so 1 truck wouldn't be enough. Also, all tax must be paid, even to apply. Make no mistake, they check and photograph every year. Look, Triangle Pattaya, you don't necessarily need 4 staff. It depends on the capitalisation of the company, and it depends on what you're going to do. You can get away with just 1 foreigner in a Thai company under certain circumstances. But again, the best thing you can do is get proper legal advice from a professional. Now, some questions came in during the week. Let's just address some of these as I press this button. Hello. Different camera there. I'll just see if I plug this in. Preparation. Is it going to work? There it goes. Here we go. So, hi Tim and Steve. I plan on visiting your area towards the end of November. This has come from Scott Freeman. What transport would you suggest for getting to Khao Lak and on to Tai Muang from Phuket Airport? Well, just addressing that one first, you'd probably take a taxi. There are buses that come up north from Phuket, but the schedule for those is not terribly reliable, and I am not aware of the times myself. I haven't used them, but I know some people do. But probably a taxi would be the best. Look, a taxi from Phuket Airport to Khao Lak, that's probably at least a couple of thousand baht. and it's about 1,000 baht with a registered taxi to get to Tham Luang. I'll most likely rent a scooter in Khao Lak and tour around your area for about 1 week. Well, it's a good 40-minute drive from Tham Luang to Khao Lak. Probably a bit far, I would have thought, to go on a scooter. But that, of course, is up to you. Does the beach turtle egg laying commence around the end of November? A good question, and I can refer to this. And where are we? Here we go. This is an article I found from the National News Bureau of Thailand. It was entitled "More Sea Turtles Lay Eggs in Phuket During Tourist Absence." It was an article written during COVID, but I did find this saying that the nesting season, which runs until February, and noting that that article was written in December. So it looks like generally it runs from December to February. That's the egg-laying season in Thailand. And in most cases, the eggs these days are highly protected by the Marine Department, and they either remove the eggs from that nesting area, or they protect them and put a fence around them. So a lot of work being done to try and look after these sea turtles, because they do come back to lay their eggs. And there are plenty of reasons why those eggs won't survive, including once they become little turtles and swim back to the crawl back to the sea. A lot of them are taken. They hatch in a hatchery. They wait till they're about this size, and then they release them. And a lot of that releasing is done here at Turtle Beach, as we call it, during March. And they even have the Turtle Beach Festival, which celebrates some of the releasing of the turtles each year. And Retro Racer, have lunch with Steve on me, Tim. Thank you very much. All the best. Roland San Patong. Roland San Patong in Sydney. I'm not. Is your name Roland San? And you live in Patong in Sydney? I think that's what I got. But look, thank you very much, and I will take Steve out for lunch. He's a pretty cheap feed. Thank you very, very much. Tim, where are you living? Where you are living is prone to tsunamis. Do you have any concerns as Khao Lak was seriously affected? This is from Ting Tong. Okay, yes, I'm 60 metres away from the water. And the tsunami did come along this coast, as it did right along the Andaman coast. But Khao Lak, 40 minutes up the road, was devastated, where the waves came in up to 1 kilometre. Here, they didn't even come onto the green area, didn't even come past the beach. Why? Because there's a big sudden drop-off once you step off the beach here, and it gets very deep very quickly. And that took all the power out of the tsunami wave, so that it didn't come onto even the road here at Tham Luang. So it's sort of tsunami proof to an extent. So it's really the topography of the shoreline and leading up to the shoreline that will determine how much damage a tsunami does. When it says you're tsunami prone, it's not... The tsunamis are very, very rare occurrences. Look, one could be happening already and I don't know about it, and it's about to hit, or it may never happen in my lifetime, or in another 100 years, or another 1,000 years. They're very unpredictable, of course, but we do live here quite close to part of that circle of activity, seismic activity, what's it called, the Ring of Fire around the Pacific, and it sort of runs up through Indonesia and continues about probably 200 or 300 kilometres off the coast here through the Nicobar Islands, which are sort of directly out in front of me, about 200 kilometres away. So, yeah, look, I'm aware that tsunamis happen. I'm aware of what happened in 2004. And that will be next year. We have the 20th anniversary. Wow. Amazing, isn't it? Time has flown. But no, it didn't affect the Tai Muang Beach area at all. Puda Diver, thank you very much. TIT, this is Thailand, don't blame the messenger. Please cover Living Waters Mae Hong Son trip if possible. Look, I've actually been trying to find a time that I can get together with Sean Stenning from 5 Star Marine and Living Waters Phuket. Their trip to Mae Hong Son was very important, and I do want to cover it, and I've decided, well, Sean and I decided we'll do it as an interview because they've got lots of great footage. We just haven't been able to find the time. Sean's been very busy, and as you know, I've been spending the last couple of months sorting out my life and my new life up here in Tai Muang at Turtle Beach. But thank you very much, Per Diver. Appreciate the support. Let's just go to some more of these questions that came in yesterday. And how can I send you guys some money for a coffee? It's not expected or required. If you ever do get to Turtle Beach, though, you're very welcome to buy us a coffee when you get here. Sawadi Kun Tim, since you moved to Turtle Beach, what do you miss about not living in Phuket? This is from Mango Sticky Rice. Okay, so I'm very happy here so far. It's much quieter. The traffic is a lot less. But when it comes to just sheer convenience of being able to go and buy certain items, and I'm thinking about some of the things I used to enjoy eating, some of them are not available here at the convenience stores or the supermarket. There's a Lotus here, but it's a very, very Thai supermarket. But it was always my intention to travel back to Phuket once a week or once a fortnight and do a bit of a shop up and buy things like the muesli I like that's not available. In fact, there's barely any breakfast cereals that I found available here. And what other things am I missing? It's mostly food things. But yeah, I just have to plan my trips to Phuket. I'll go back once or twice a fortnight and just do a shop up. Some of the food that the cats like, I haven't been able to find here as well. But they're getting less fussy and they're eating just what I give them that I can find here in Tai Muang. But otherwise, look, I don't really miss that much. I don't miss going to like Central Festival. Cinemas, yes, there's no cinemas up here that I know of. There's a couple of old cinemas that were closed down long ago, but they probably wouldn't have been playing films that I would want to go and see anyway. But that's why we've got the abundance of cinematic opportunities available online these days. And I've got a nice big 75-inch TV and some loudspeakers. So I sort of get my cinematic experience here. Yes, I do miss going to the cinema as often as I used to. But at the same time, what I have here is I've got fresh air. I've got a beach 60 metres in front of me, which I do enjoy going to at least once a day, and certainly, if nothing else, enjoying the sunset, a big show put on 365 days a year. If you want to look at rural Thailand and get a pizza, visit us, says George Bowman. Thank you very much. I don't know where you are. Tim is missing Thai What to Do, says Alpha Bravo. Yes, I used to enjoy my visits to Thai What to Do. I'll probably still visit there every couple of months when I need to buy a something or a something else. It's a good place where you can do shopping for the garden or your home. I'm a bit of a fix-it sort of DIY person. Do it yourself. So yes, I'm missing a bit of that, but I'm not missing the traffic. The traffic was getting out of control, such that it was becoming something that was really annoying me to the extent that I was happy to leave it behind. Morning all, says C2J. Pat Ty says, any plans returning to Melbourne in the near future? No, not at the moment. I'm really about establishing my life here. I've just, this morning, I'll be signing a contract for property number 3. It's another 10-year contract, and I'll be doing a makeover on that. Actually, it's more than a makeover. It's a bit of a major, but more of a renovation than a makeover on this one. But I've decided to stay in this particular property, which is Beach House number 2, we call it. And Beach House number 3 is going to be a real traditional beach house in a sort of Western sense. And it's got a fabulous outlook and fabulous view. In that case, unhindered by trees. I've got a few trees here in front of me, although I can see under the canopy of the trees and looking at the Andaman Sea right now. But Beach House number 3 has an even better view, and that's going to be a project that's going to keep me busy for at least 3 months. I was hoping to get it ready for Christmas. That's probably not going to. In fact, I'm absolutely sure it's not going to happen. But certainly late January, February, I think we will have it available. I still need to do a video showing you what we've done to these beach houses and the process of what we started with. And I'm just trying to find time to do that edit. So I'm sorry that I just haven't caught up with all that. Wilco, has the tsunami warning alarm gone off in your time in Phuket? No, look, they used to do weekly tests, Thursdays at 8 a.m. or something. But I was never on the beaches when they did those. But I'm not sure if they still do those. But I'm sure they do test them from time to time. And there's plenty of signs around Phuket now that say, yeah, if there's a tsunami, head off in this direction. So, I think that's going to, pardon me, scratching my nose. There's a lot more preparation, and there's the tsunami warning buoys. There's 3 of them. They're about 100 to 200 kilometres off the coast, which will give Phuket and the Andaman coast a much better warning if there's a tsunami in the future. Wilco, has the tsunami, I think I just addressed that, Tom, or lots of expat food websites will deliver all over Thailand, Tim. Okay, look, that's interesting. Could you suggest a few, Tom? Send us an email to timnewtontoday@gmail.com. I'd be interested in having a look at those because there is a lot of Thai food, a lot of excellent Thai food here on Turtle Beach. Not a lot of foreign food, not that I used to eat a lot of it in the past. I'm almost a vegetarian anyway. But if there is an opportunity to get different foods delivered here, I'm happy to have a look at that. Thank you very much, Tom. There's no Food Panda here, I can tell you that. Now, you go to Food Panda and nada, zilch, nothing. 489 are watching. Smash that like. 489 people. Let's get that to 500. Thank you all very much for joining us. I was just going to address these 2 news items as well that came up during the week. Firstly, this one, and then another one which is a bit more serious. But this story, Thai PBS World reporting, the Royal Thai Navy to switch from a Chinese submarine to a frigate. According to the new Defence Minister, the Royal Thai Navy has decided to switch from procuring a submarine from China to a frigate, estimated to cost 17 billion baht, compared to the Yuan-class submarine price tag of 13.5 billion. And a bit further down, the Defence Minister said that the Prime Minister raised the issue with his Chinese counterpart during the visit to China earlier this week, and China has agreed to consider the Royal Thai Navy's plan to switch from a submarine to a frigate. And then down the bottom, the Defence Minister says he believes the procurement deal could be concluded next month. So all that controversy about the submarines, that they might be switching it to a frigate, they weren't able to, look, you know the story about the German engine being replaced by the Chinese engine, and obviously there's been some debacle about that. So switching it over to a frigate might just save face in a very, very Asian way. So I thought that story was interesting. Also this one, which is awful, ThaiPBSWorld.com reporting the pain of loss hits a father as he lost 2 sons in Israel, and a man called Lampur, hopefully I got that name right, Kusaram, who lost both his sons when Hamas attacked Israel earlier this month, said that no amount of compensation can ease his sense of loss. he lost his sons, 26-year-old Pongtep and 29-year-old Apichat. He said his two sons went missing during the attack, adding that at the time he still had hope that his children had survived the attack, but later the Labour Ministry confirmed that both were killed. And Pongtep, who went to work in Israel first and earned about 80,000 baht a month, and that's a very good wage for a Thai person, persuaded his older brother Apichat to follow him. Both always contacted their father, telling him about their lives in Israel, and Lamper said that when they worked in Israel, they always communicated with the family, adding that they wanted to buy him a tractor. Apichat was married with 2 children. Pongtep was single. A very sad side story to all that business happening in Israel and the Gaza Strip at the moment, but very poignant that there are real people and real lives affected. So commiserations to that man's family. Any more new shirts on order from Lazada? Well, actually, yes. I'm waiting. It should arrive today or tomorrow. 2 extra shirts. The problem is when I'm shopping in Lazada, they're very clever. They know what I've bought in the past. They know what I like buying, and they suggest a few sales. Oh, that looks okay. I might just buy that seeing that I'm here. So you might see a few new shirts next week. George, spelt G-O-R-G-E. Good morning from Lumluka. Enjoying your show. Happy for you that you're settling in your new digs. Yeah, look, this suits me. I came here looking for life at the beach. I'm very busy with my daily YouTube programs. I also write for another publication, as you know, and I've got these Airbnbs now. I'll have 2 to rent, and I'll live in the other one. And we've had people come through. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 lots of guests so far. Everybody seems to be happy, so that's good. However, they've all made some really good suggestions. And on that note, I've, made some changes. We're dressing up the front of Beach House number 1. We've got some turtle shells, the ones made in paper mache by Steve. Thank you very much. They're hanging up, hanging a couple of oars above the window. We've got some chairs arriving to sit out the front. What else are we doing inside? Oh, we're just changing a sink fitting that was a bit loose. So we're listening to what people are saying, and we're making changes to try and make them the best Airbnb experience in Thailand. But yeah, just if you do come, if you want to make a booking, that's great. We'd love to have you. But it's not as if there's bars or nightclubs or shopping centres what are those things called? You go whizzing through the jungle? Zip lines. There's none of that up here. It's much, much quieter. A couple of waterfalls to visit. There's an excellent golf course 500 metres away. I mean, top notch, one of Thailand's best golf courses. Just 500 metres from the beach house if you like golf. There's some really good little restaurants. There's the beach. So come here to relax, read a book, watch a movie on the smart TV. There's actually 2 smart TVs, one for the kids as well. And you can go and sit on the beach for as long as you like. Costs you nothing. So, you don't come here if you want to sort of go to nightclubs and swing your legs under a bar. Vegas 2012 says US-Thai Treaty of Amity allows US citizens to own 100% of the business without a Thai partner. That is correct. Of course, there are a few restrictions protecting foreigners from owning certain types of businesses. Yes, but again, if you are going to go down that track and you are a US citizen, make sure you get the advice of a qualified professional. Now, one person who knows a lot about that, for example, would be Ben Hart from Integrity Legal. So he'd be a good contact if you're looking at setting up a business in Thailand and you would like to have 100% ownership of your company. And maybe the people who are showing outrage about the Russian people given 90-day visas, maybe they should have outrage about American citizens being given the opportunity to own 100% of a company. Or have outrage about the South Koreans and 4 or 5 South American countries who can also come to Thailand visa-free for up to 90 days. There's plenty of other areas you can express your outrage, and I'm sure you will do so. And thank you very much to Daryl McGee. Great to have you with us again, Daryl, for yet more cat treats. One of the cats is just sitting down. Will I go and get her? Okay, we'll go and get one of the cats. She'll squirm and scream, but anyway. I know, but people want to see you, okay? So come and say hello. There you go. This is Dina. She's the pretty cat, and she knows she's pretty. Yes, I'll let you go. There you go. Look at the camera. Say hello, everybody. She is a lovely cat, and she's enjoying her life here. And I've had 4 fantastic dogs, but now I'm somewhat of a cat person. Never thought I'd say that, but there you go. Thanks, Dina, for coming. And your appearance fee will be sitting in the plate later. Thanks, Daryl. And Frank Hagen, thank you very much for your contribution. Really appreciate that. Street Glide says a lot of people make comments, negative or positive, but always remember 99% of subscribers are watching because we like you. Well, thank you. And we enjoy the news you provide. You have a cheerful personality. Hasn't been very cheerful this week. In fact, I haven't been depressed, but it's just been, and I'm sure you get it as well, just the news has been very depressing. And you do get sort of sucked into it, I suppose. And it certainly dragged me down. But I am very lucky that I can go over the road and just sit on the beach and just chill out. So I have been doing that, and I'm in a much better frame of mind here on this Saturday morning than I have been. No need for submarines, says James Woodruff. If need them, Thailand is ruined already. I think it's up to any government to do what it can to protect its citizens. And the Thai government's had quite a strong military history. So it's not really any surprise that the Thai government and the Royal Thai Navy, for whatever reason, think they need a submarine. And it's all very well for us to say, well, that's rubbish, but we're not the ones that make the decision. It's like with the land bridge project. To me, it seems ludicrous to bring your ship to Chumpon, unload the ship, it goes onto a rail, goes across Thailand, you then reload all that cargo, the containers, onto another ship, and off you go through the Gulf of Thailand and onto the South China Sea. Seems to me to be a lot of infrastructure, a lot of cost, a lot of kerfuffle, rather than just continuing sailing, albeit it's going to take a couple more days, making your way down the Malacca Strait, around Singapore, and then up through the South China Sea. If you had a canal, however, you could just sail into Ranong. Sorry, I got my Ranongs and Chumpongs mixed up. Just sail through the middle of Thailand. It's about 80 kilometres at that skinny point, and then continue. That makes sense to me, to have a canal in the form of the Panama Canal. But this land bridges seem to have got to the top of the pile, and a lot of people think it's a good idea. But what do I know? Tony, thank you very much, Tony, all the way from Canada, and appreciate your support, Tony, and everybody else that's been very kind and generous. I do get rather overwhelmed, but thank you very much. Mighty Mouse Fun says, I've always been a dog person until I met my wife 3 years ago. I think I better continue. And now we have 2 lovely cats named Surin and Katong. Katu and Patong. I get it. Thank you very much. Yeah, look, I think I've just liked animals all my life. When I was younger, we had dogs and cats. Then when I was old enough, I had my own dogs. Had 3 great dogs. That one down there. And all border collies. But now I've got cats. And I love the cats. Don't really have enough space for a dog, so not appropriate to have one. Got a couple of soy dogs out the front that visit each day, and I'm happy to pat them. Smart Man Jack says, huge fire in Chayapun City last night. My wife's hometown. She's loving life here in Australia, Byron Bay. I haven't read about that, but thank you very much for the alert. Let's hope that everybody's okay. Okay, sorry, what's your email again? It's really difficult. timnewtontoday@gmail.com. Easy as that. Negative news, Tim, but not your fault. Yeah, look, that's right. But I read the news and I think about it and I make comments about it. And sometimes you get sucked into the bad news. And yeah, look, I was annoyed about the announcement that only Russian people would be able to get a 90-day visa-free visit. And I'm not sure why I got angry about it, but it's not my position to get angry and tell you that I'm angry about it. But I was angry off camera, and that I suppose I got a bit depressed about it. That's my problem. Gaz Miff, hi Tim, what are the breeds of your cats? We have 2 Siberian forest cats, live on Gold Coast, moving hopefully to Hua Hin next year. Look, they're both street cats. Dusty, I think you could call, is a Bombay cat, if that's a breed. Well, it is a breed, but she's just a big black street cat, of which there are plenty of around here. And Dina has obviously got a bit of Persian in her, tortoiseshell colourings, but she's not a breed. She's just a happy street cat that happened to sit on the right wall on the right day, and we're happy to have her here. I tell people when they say, what breed are your cats? I say, well, they're Siamese, because they were both born in Siam, as far as I know. But of course, they're not Siamese breed cats. Don't hate me. I don't like negativity, but I know I need to be aware of the danger, says James Woodruff. Thank you. Question, when you travel, who takes care of the cats? There's a few different opportunities there. I've got different people who pop in and like clean the garden. There's neighbours. So yeah, there's no problem there. And with that, I thank you all very much for joining us today. Hopefully we've addressed a few issues. We've shared a few thoughts. We've answered some questions. And hopefully you know a little bit more about Thailand now than you did 5 minutes ago. Or I can go on a bit longer. Do you want me to go longer or not? You tell me. I'll give you 10 seconds. Tell me if you want to go for another 10 minutes. Up to you. Hanging in here. It's in the balance. Yes. Go for another 10 minutes. No. Get off. I've got things to do. Have a good weekend, everyone. Keep going. Yes, go. Okay, all right. Hang on. I just put the other plug in. I'm still here. I'm still here. Has that fixed? Oh, yes, that's fixed the problem. Okay, so we've got a bit more power. We just ran out of power. That was the problem. So, yes, Tim's going flat. I was going flat. So we can go on for another 10 minutes if you've got some other things you'd like to bring up. Any topics, anything that you'd like to broach. Specifically questions about things like visas, insurance. I am trying to get Max on the program in the next couple of weeks. He's been very busy at a conference and, of course, being up here in Tai Muang. But I am investing some of the very kind super chats in a system whereby I'll be able to interview people online from wherever they are. I know that technology exists, but I've always found it very stilted. But I've found a bit of a way around that, and hopefully we'll be able to speak to some more people on the programs from time to time once I get all that tested and working properly. The Thai news sites in English never seem to provide follow-up stories on criminal cases. and what happened to the suspects. Would you be able to occasionally provide updates? Keep up the great work. This is from William Holtz. William, that's a great suggestion, and you might be right that a lot of them don't provide sort of follow-up stories to people still in jail, but it's really up to the news site, I suppose, to try and provide the news that they think is going to be most important and at the end of the day get the most number of clicks. You want to put your best stories on the front page of the paper so that you can sell as many newspapers as you can. Nothing has changed in the news business in regards to that. I can only tell you what I read in other English media. I don't have any secret source. I do have a few sources, and look, people do contact me with at different times with different perspectives or a bit of an update, and I'll always pass that on where I can. And I suppose I get that more often than I'd like to admit. But the media sometimes do not follow up stories as much as they would like to or as much as they want to. But I will always bring stories up to date if I can and if I know what I'm talking about and if the information that I have is correct or not. Okay, so a few more things here. Tim, for visas and insurance, is it easier to go to Bangkok or Chiang Rai? Does it make a difference? Visas and insurance. Well, your visa, of course, you can go to Chiang Rai. I think Chiang Rai has an immigration. I'm not sure. Certainly, there is one in Chiang Mai. So for visas, you've got Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai at your doorstep, and you can go in there. And there would be visa agents serving those particular offices that you can use anytime as well. Going to Bangkok is not going to make it any easier for you. The only thing I usually find at the provincial immigration offices is they're usually a little bit quieter. Not Phuket immigration, but if you go to the Patong immigration, sometimes it's a bit quieter, especially earlier in the day. And there's also another one in Phuket at the Blue Tree, whatever that Blue Tree place is called. Okay, sorry, I'm just sort of meandering, my mind's going elsewhere. But no, I can't really think of any particular reasons you'd need to go to Bangkok for those services. Insurance you can do online these days. There's a lot of insurance brokers that work online. My best guess is if you don't have a broker that you trust and you've used before, stick with the main companies. That would be my best advice. I've learnt the hard way on that one. Stephen Richter, update. If the criminal was a Farang, you can bet he was loaded on a plane back to their own country. Well, no, a lot of foreign criminals or people who have been convicted in Thailand are spending time breaking big rocks into little rocks here in Thailand and rotting away in Thai jail. So a lot of them don't get automatically sent back. Thai women gold diggers, asks Thomas Mark. Some are, most aren't. And you could ask that about women in tourist zones anywhere in the world, and there are young men plying the same trade. That's a very complex and difficult question, but generally no. Hey, my first few super chats were for the cats, says Brett Border. Okay, Brett, I promise that I'll buy cat food with your super chats. I won't spend any of that money on frivolous toys for making these programs better. Thank you, Brett. The cats are reminding me, don't you worry about that. Whatever happened to Tony, the bodybuilder in Pattaya? I don't know, Derek. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that story. James Woodruff, I watch you every chance. A great show. Thank you very much, James. Nongwaso says, what happened to the guy that chopped up his lover and dumped him in the ocean? Oh, yes, that happened in Kopangan. I don't know, but look, that's a good example. There hasn't been a follow-up to that particular case. I'm just thinking whether I've read. No, I've read nothing. But look, I keep my eyes out for these things. Nobody would scour all the possible English news stories on a daily basis more than me. So if I saw a story giving me any information about that, I'd certainly bring it to you. But I would go through the first thing in the morning some 50 or so stories that I need to whittle down to about 6, 7 or 8 stories every day. And Tony Restall just sending me a message, somebody who's very up to date on this whole Cra Canal and land bridge story, but he was messaging me about something else entirely, so can't bring you any information from him about that. Derek has waded into the last question. Most Thai women want a good man to marry. Get what you get if you fall in love with a bar girl who has many body counts. Yeah, look, Steve and I have spoken about this often. There are any number of Thai YouTube channels that you can watch, particularly from one particular town, that have got lots and lots and lots of stories, most of them tales of woe, about the adventures of foreigners and Thai bar girls. But if you don't know what that situation is by now, then no one's going to be able to help you if you fall for that particular trap. And a big thanks to Johnny Slippery, who says, for the Kitty Litter Fund, these cats are going to be the best kept cats. Are you getting another boat? No. That's very easy to answer. Out another 1,000, a NACRA 5.2 would be fun. Or break out another 1,000. Actually, I used to own a boat called a Hobie 18. Okay, these are catamarans, fiberglass catamarans, a little racing boat. Oh, gee, they've been around for about 25, 30 years. And I'm thinking I could keep it at that beach. No one would touch it. I'm sure it would be very safe, and it'd be great to go out for a bit of a sail every now and then. Maybe, just maybe, that might happen. We'll see. We'll see. Johnny, thanks for... I can see me jumping on Lazada or something after this and maybe seeing if there are... the only reason I mention a Hobie 18 is I used to own one and was quite adept at sailing it and felt quite comfortable in that particular boat. Anyway, good morning, Tim from Sakon Nakon from David Hodgson. Thank you very much for saying hello. And were you competing in the Sydney to Hobart race? You look familiar. No, I've never competed in the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. However, I have sailed in the... Let's reach it down behind me. In the Melbourne to Hobart yacht race, where I was the skipper of a boat called Longitude. And I won first on handicap and first across the line. And we missed the race record by a couple of minutes. So that was back in, does it actually say the year? I think it was 1998. So that was the year that the Sydney to Hobart lost a number of lives. Very, very rough. They were going down the east coast and we were going down the west coast, which was even rougher. A rough ride down to Hobart that year indeed, but we did it in good time, nearly breaking the race record. So I haven't been in the Sydney to Hobart, but I've been in the Melbourne to Hobart yacht race a couple of times. Hello, Tim and everyone from Hollywood in California. Congratulations, says Pat Ty. Thank you very much. Captain Newton, the new Jimmy Buffett. Go get 'em. Cheers, says Geo Urge. George, broken up in two halves. Thomas Mark, I'm impressed. Or don't be impressed. Just one of those things I did when I was a bit younger and a bit more stupid. Wow, I had no idea you're a skipper and a winner. Great stuff. In fact, there's a photo around. Go and get the painting. Now we're talking boats. Oh, where is it? Here it is. I'm coming back. Oh, does this fit? There we go. Just point it down a bit. So this is a boat that I designed and built, a boat called Longitude. Yes, it was. This one was called Matt Bianco. Longitude was the next boat. And yeah, I designed and built this. It was a 10-metre boat, one of the first yachts racing with what we call an asymmetrical spinnaker with a big bowsprit out the front. And that's me standing at the back. Yes, so that was a boat, I think I built that and we launched it about 1988. Made a lot of changes to it over the years. Got the chainsaw out, had 3 keels, 2 masts. We extended the front by about 1 metre at one stage. Let's put that back down. But I can promise you that my sailing of those vessels is over. Whether or not I might get a small boat, maybe in the future, I don't know. But that boat was called Matt Bianco, which was the name of a band I liked at the time. It didn't mean anything. People used to say, "Oh, why is it called?" You know, trying to look into why I called it that. But yeah, Matt Bianco. And I had a lot of fun on that boat with a great crew, a lot of fun every single Saturday during the sailing season. It was just a big part of my life down there at the Mornington Yacht Club. Lots of great people down there. Good morning, Tim, says Francisco Mart. I was under the impression that if I had a Thai ID, you would get the local discount in museums and national parks, but that only depends where in Thailand you go. Yeah, look, there's the pink ID as well, which might be the one you're talking about. Some national parks will let you in if you've got a driver's license, a local driver's license. Some will religiously apply the foreign fare no matter what you show them. Work permits, pink IDs. So look, there's nothing hard and fast, but it does depend in many cases which particular establishment or national park you go to, whether you'll have to pay the foreign fee. 5 kilometres up the road, there's the national park along the beach here, and they charge 100 baht for foreigners and 20 baht for Thais. Am I going to get outraged about it? No, my outrage will only make me upset. It won't change their mind. But I know people like Richard Barrow, for example, has had a big campaign about the foreign surcharge for many years, and there's plenty of websites that you can read about those. If that is something that you're interested in, I'll usually politely ask, with my work permit and my local driver's license, if I can get the local fare. Sometimes they let me in, sometimes they don't. I cannot believe that you don't drink or smoke, Tim. Steve will make up for it. Yes, he probably does. Have to go. Thanks, Tim. Have a great week. That's from Mark. And Gruntmax says, soon you will not be able to walk to the beach. It will be covered by Hobie cats on trailers, which is where they spend 99% of their time. Gruntmax, that's a very, very good comment. Hopefully one of those old Hobie cats on trailers might end up here at the beach. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might just be a good idea. I don't know. I'll see. We'll see. Tim has a lot of impressive history that he never talks about, says Brett Border. Well, not that impressive, really. But I've had a full life so far, and I think I'm sort of envisaging that things are going to start to quieten down a bit. I'll be 65 next year, and I'm thinking that, I've sort of come here as a sort of a way that I can ease into a slightly slower pace of life, although at the moment there's no signs of that starting up. But yeah, if I have to retire here, I'm not going to be sad about it. And I've done a lot. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I won't go further, don't worry. Wilco, did you get your Thai driver's license easily by having an Australian license or international one? Did having it by some of the testing and requirements? Okay, Wilco, what happened with my license? I haven't got my pants with the license in it. I have a Thai driver's license now, but I had to do the full driving test and all the stuff leading up to it, because I drove for many years in Thailand with my international driver's permit, which was long expired, and my license in Australia had long expired. So I pulled myself up by the bootstraps a couple of years ago and went and got a Thai driver's license, but I had to do it from the start. I decided to do it in Panga, which coincidentally now happens to be where I live, because the driving school had a very easy program, and I was able to get in that weekend into the program. Spent the whole day there, and it was the most bizarre day. They had a band there playing music. They had video clips out of Fast and Furious. They had a lot of lecturers, none of which I or the other 4 or 5 foreigners there could understand. We were sitting at the back just checking our Facebook pages most of the time. The Thais were up and dancing and singing along with the band. And then there was the driving test. Now, I participated in the driving test. I was very proud with my reverse parking. Nailed it, first one. 3-point turns, braking, giving way to left and right, whatever. It was fairly perfunctory. Then you had to answer the questions. And there are about 50 questions to answer, all A, B, C, D options. Some of it was quite bizarre. I remember questions like, when you come to a stop sign and you're doing 50 kilometres an hour, do you apply the brakes 100 metres before? So you'd think that would be what it's going to say, but then it would say things like milk, galvanised iron. It had the most bizarre answers as possible, answers to the questions that bore no resemblance whatsoever to the question. So at one stage I put my hand up and said, look, I'm really struggling with this. I can't figure out the questions and the answers. And she said, don't worry, I'll do it for you. So a very kind examiner just did the questions for me. So look, as with a lot of things in Thailand, some things can be difficult, some things can be easy, but that was an interesting day for me, and I have no idea what they were talking about or singing about or dancing about, but I nailed the driving test, and that's all that mattered. I think I'm a fairly good driver. Touch wood. Do you need to have an international driver's license to rent a car there? You need to have an international driver's permit to rent. There will be some unscrupulous rental car places that will rent you a car just with citing your passport, but buyer beware. You're better off going with a reputable car rental company, because if you do have an accident, you could be in a shitload of trouble if you don't have the correct insurance and the correct rental agreement. Technically, you can't drive in Thailand without an international driver's permit, technically. Office of Land Transport transcripts. Thanks again, Tim. Have a relaxing weekend. Enjoy coconut drink and mango. Thank you, Derek. I will do so. Not another guy ready to sing my way. Thank you, John. And Tim, while we're running through your varied history, were you ever on ABC radio in Canberra? No. You might be thinking of Tim Shaw. That would have been 4 or 5 years ago now. Good morning, Tim, if you're watching. But Tim Shaw used to be on, it wasn't ABC radio. I think he was on 2CC, but no, I've never been on radio in Canberra. Then again, I was on 2GB radio, and so that might have been transmitted. I don't know. It wasn't ABC radio anyway. Back to the farm and the big blue esky with Ice and Leo. See you, Tim. Chili to pick. Have a good day. Bronson says, compared to what you achieved, Tim, you have quite a subdued ego. Well, it doesn't seem like... okay. Well, thank you. I'll just say thank you very much. Rules. Somebody says the rules. Is there a okay of rules to drive in Thailand? Look, there are rules of the road here. It's just that they tend to operate a bit differently, such that a lot of foreigners, when they drive here, think, oh, it's just chaos. There's no rules here. It's just the Thais interpret the rules in some ways quite differently. I always say to people the best rule of thumb when driving here is to drive like a school of fishers. Just go with the flow. If they're going fast, go fast. If they're going slow, go slow. Stick to the left of the road and don't drive defensively. Just drive along with everybody else and you'll usually get to where you're trying to go without any dents or damage. And just be aware that anything could fly out of the left or right, the front or the back at any moment. So be aware, but not afraid. I find driving here very easy, but it is a rhythm that you need to get used to. It's quite different from driving in Western traffic. Two more things and then we'll have to say goodbye. Trevor Cunningham says in New Zealand we have a website called Builders Crack, where you wish to select a tradesperson in your area. Do you have any idea if Thailand has the same sort of thing? No, not really. If you want a good tradie, and I am very, very lucky to have found an excellent local contractor. Gee, I'm lucky. The best thing to do is ask around. Go to other foreigner friends, ask who they've used and could recommend, or just ask your neighbours and get a recommendation. It'll usually be their brother or the brother's cousin or somebody. But go by recommendations. There's no website in Thailand I know of that would help people in English. If there is, it might be something that you'll have to find, a Thai friend might have to find in Thai language for you. And Daryl McGee, question, could I get a Thai license without a long-term visa if I have an international license? Or I think minimum you have to have a certificate of residency. So that means that you've rented a property and you've got a rental agreement to show and you've been down to immigration and you've got a certificate of residency. Without that, I'm pretty sure you can't get a Thai driving license. But I'm sure there's people that have been able to get one through an agent or through somebody who knew somebody. But generally, you do need that certificate of residency if you're going to get a driving license. Biggest vehicle has right of way, says John Slippery. It's about self-preservation. Yeah, look, again, the rhythm is just different here. There are good drivers and there's bad drivers, but it's their interpretation of the rules. There are rules that really is something that you need to get your head around. And it's up to you to get your head around the way that they drive in Thailand. It's not your country. Motorcycle drivers are taught to use a cell phone and text while driving, says Thomas Mark. Yes, you'll see a lot of people on motorbikes and in cars on their phones. When it's raining, you'll see that they've got one hand on the handlebars and the other hand holding out an umbrella in front of them. Is it safe? No. Should you be riding a motorbike when it's raining? Probably not. But you just need to get used to the rhythm and know when it's best to stay off the roads. One more. James Woodruff. I have gotten a license yet after 5 years, paid a few fines, but not much. I have not gotten a license. Okay. Look, James, that's fine. I got away with it for a few years as well and just paid a few fines. But if you get into a bad accident and it comes down to insurance, if you don't have a license, you're in a world of trouble. So don't drive on Thai roads if you don't have a license. Simple as that. I can't give any better recommendations than that. And look, you will get away with it for a while, but it's when you don't get away with it that it could really hurt you in your hip pocket. Rob Gray, is Grumpy Old Men on tomorrow, please? Probably. Steve and I haven't recorded the program yet, but we're going to be doing it. We're meant to be doing it later in the day if Steve's feeling okay. So there should be a Grumpy Old Men. It won't be live. Don't think we'll be doing another live program for Grumpy Old Men anytime soon. And finally, Hans, we haven't read one from you, so we'll read yours. The women riding side saddle with their faces buried in a phone while their moto taxi driver is weaving through traffic always amazes me. Thai women riding side saddle is a sight to see. I don't know how they cope when you're going around the corner in the direction where their feet are facing away. I would have thought the force of the turn, they would go flying off the back of the motorcycle. But I suppose because the motorcycle's leaning into the corner, but they don't fall off. It is amazing. And it's just something between the design of the motorcycle seat and a Thai lady's bottom. I don't know what it is, but they seem to be able to be magnetic enough that they don't fall off. It is a wonder of nature, I agree. And if you get a ride on a bike, if the rain, be sure to tip the driver and put a strawberry Fanta at the local shrine. Fair enough. And with that, I think I've got a shrine out the front here. We do have to get the red Fanta out every couple of weeks and just show that we're looking after the shrines, which we do. And thank you very much, everybody. Been a bit of a mixed bag, a bit of a potpourri. I really appreciate all the support, especially the super chats. But it's great having everyone. It's like sort of sitting down around the bar and having a good old conversation with 500 people at the same time. But I really appreciate the support. Hopefully you're a little bit more knowledgeable about things happening in Thailand. I'm going to go out and see if I can find a second-hand Hobie 18. In the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. We've got hopefully Grumpy Old Men on tomorrow morning. That should be up around about 8:30. And then back to our usual TNT weekly program on Monday. Have a great weekend and thank you for joining us.